Some music from Music Land. Play something.
There's a beautiful woman, always dressed in black. She just went for water around a winding track. She's a spirit of beauty, strong yet gentle being. She walks on this planet like some kind of queen. Name of the ocean, she moves like the wind so free, over land and rolling sea.
Yes?
Sweet Morena always with a rhythm beat, rolling down the street. Morena Ocean, aye aye aye. Morena Ocean, aye aye aye. Sweet Morena Ocean, aye aye aye. Sweet Morena Ocean, aye aye aye.
Hey, welcome to episode, what is it, 64? 64 or 65? 60 something on the Corey Shepherd podcast. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Welcome to all the new listeners. I can't stop this song, let it take it some more. Take it in.
See the fall of evening.
Yes?
Feel a cooling breeze. Red and yellow drifting west. A green and golden tree.
Sing!
And hear the sound of drummers
Crackling
through the night. Yeah, them sing the song for ocean round the firelight. Take Morena Ocean, she moves like the wind so free, over land and rolling sea. Sweet Morena Ocean, always with a rhythmic beat, rolling down the street. Morena Ocean, aye aye aye. Morena Ocean, aye aye aye.
Pesat bisesa. Oh yeah, yeah. Kamla pesat bisesa. Oh yeah. Hey, we back. Hey, on the only thing, right? Let me tell you why I opened with that song. We get down to the thing one time. That is a song, well, the name of the song, Morena Ocean. If you don't know the voice, that is Andre Tanker, late great. One of the greatest. And easily one of the best, you know I go say it, right? One of the best calypso ever written and delivered. If you're not in a good mood yet, you will never be in a good mood. If you hear this and you can't get yourself in a good mood, things bad, things worse than a they're a good mood episode. You know? But the reason I come across this song is because I was looking at new music and I hear a new song by Freetown Collective. I want to play a little piece. Hey, Andre Tanker, all right, okay, all right. You know, no disrespect. We're going to play some of the new youths too. You know what I mean? Yes? I listening to I on Instagram, I see the men drop a song here.
Sugar, honey, sweet water, yellow, blue, queen, daughter, mama, sister, friend, lover.
Boy.
Oh, Mrs. Cassandra. Mrs. Cassandra, hot like a sauna, just like her mama, feed me papaya. Oh, Shuna, no, yeah, she no push over. You should know better if you come in here. How your skin glow, watermelon. How you bright so, how are you thinking? You make my heart go ting, 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 ting. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. You say you love me, mama, you. My one and only, mama, you. We come and hold me, mama, you. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, Shuna, no, yeah, mama, you. Mama, you, Masha, mama, you. Can't get over.
Kamla, boy. Kamla. No, but all seriousness, I heard that song during the course of the week, the Freetown Collective. That is a big song. And listen, we needed some new music, to be honest. Any little music could lift the spirits, must be welcome, man. Them men sing a piece of music there. And I want to give Freetown Collective some credit. I don't know if I talked about it here before, but I remember them doing one of their songs, and they coming out and say what they're doing is new calypso. I think it's this Feely Love song.
Your heart find peace anywhere you come from. Coulda up, you coulda down. Blessings on my nation. Ooh, yeah.
You know it? All you know all this. You know you're safe in a safe space.
This city can't hold me. My vibes too high. And my heart it told me jump right now. You will
All right, easy. Don't get just calm down. Everybody just keep calm. Only know this song, right? I don't want to get pulled along off of YouTube for playing too much of people's music and all that. That song, they had come out and say what they're doing is new calypso. Them among some other youths too. And I listened to that song over and over, and I say, but how they draw the parallel, like the way that song sound, the sound and the flow of the song and the melody. I was like, but how they come up with it being calypso? And then they was explaining what new calypso is and the way they put it together and thing, and I respect that. You know me and calypso. So when I hear that Cassandra now, I say, well, all right, them fellas wasn't joking about that new calypso vibe, because that vibe of that song, hard to not like. Sweet daughter, bring your daughter, water, whoa. That's sweet. Okay, we twist it up. That song sweet. Forget my lyrics, right? You know me and lyrics is not the best of friends, right? But that song real nice. But what make me go to the Moreno Ocean now from Andre Tanker is that while I listening to that Cassandra over and over, when they drop it over the weekend, I trying to figure out, but it reminded me of something. The melody and thing remind me of something. It have a song very similar to it, and have a kind of up the islands bounce to it, and just feel good. And then in the comments, because I commented on every post they posted, in the comments, I see Dominic Kalipasad say 2021 Moreno Osha. And then I say, but wait. Now, the two songs, from a melody and the structure, it's very different. They're very different kinds of songs. But same kind of vibe, real feel-good vibe, definitely. But a lot of elements are real similar. So, I mean, salute to Dominic Kalipasad. These fellas know their music and they know calypso. For you to come up with that off the top, you come good. I'm not sure if Freetown Collective took any inspiration from that Andre Tanker song for this. I mean, it would sound strange because I hear that you hear any static in it, so it's a static production, and I'm sure they work together because they're both musicians in Freetown too. So them men seem to be the kind of people who just learn somebody build a rhythm and they jump on. They would contribute to anything they want to do, and they're very deliberate about what they do too in terms of the themes of the music, the message that the music sends, the fact that they try to stay a good combination between positive and I don't. The word coming to mind is realistic, but that's not what I want to say. There's like standing up for your own rights, like finding ourselves as a people and establishing who we are, and just feel good music and very, very positive in the way they deliver it too. And if you never see it before, well, whenever this place open back up, you're talking about vaccines, right? So hopefully vaccines sort out and we're good to go soon. But whenever the place open back up and you could get a chance to see Freetown Collective perform, go and see them in any circumstances. I saw them perform in Habitat for Humanity the other day when they have I want to say hunger banquet, but I think I'm wrong about that. They usually do a show every year up in Chaguaramas, or I always call it Anchorage. And Freetown, and they came to perform. If you know Habitat for Humanity, a lot of the performances there will be charitable. But boy, them men hold on to that stage in a venue where, you know, when if you ever went to a place or if you're performing yourself, and you're seeing people who don't want to move. It's that kind of breakfast setting and an early morning thing, and people sit down eating their breakfast. And when everybody done breakfast, especially with the age of the crowd, is either people looking to head out one time, or any music that you have there is background music at best. But boy, I see Freetown come on that stage with the you know, they perform the full band and everything. And listen, them men hold on to that place and had people rocking inside it. So salute to Freetown Collective. Thanks. I'm very grateful for that piece of music. It's Cassandra. And it make me feel happy and sad at the same time, because that's my kind of music, you know. I looking for the slowest truck on our Carnival Monday and Tuesday. Not just slowest moving, but playing the slowest music to my body and able to set a pace. And I like the pace songs and things, but that just to listen to once for me for the whole 2 days. maybe if I cross any stage, and I seriously contemplated never crossing a stage again. I feel my time pass. But when I hear that kind of music, and I behind a truck, yellow sweet water, Lego the sweet water. Boy, I me for the whole camera. Anyway, so that's Freetown Collective. Salute to them. Thank you very much for putting out that music as a little precursor to our well-vaccinated carnival. But welcome to everybody. I'm glad you're all here. Salute. Thank you very much for everybody who's been tuning in. I appreciate it. Where are we starting this week? Apologies. What are we starting with? Attack or defense? It's a plenty of attack and defense in this episode. So I don't know where exactly to start. And even when I look at all the topics, I'm not sure if to go with the attack or the defense. So maybe the politics first. Let me go with the attack, right? What phone? Let me find the first attack, right? Hey, this if you didn't laugh, you cry, yes? Somebody, I'm not calling no name, said, Rowley must realize that as we continue to lose lives on a daily basis, as business and livelihoods are destroyed, and worse, as innocent elderly citizens have been infected at that sham of a rollout, the seeds of civil unrest are being planted and watered. I don't understand what she was trying to say. As innocent elderly citizens may have been infected at that. Oh, so she mean that the sham of a rollout of the vaccination program, people could get infected with COVID. She's right. Hundreds of thousands of people are without work, unable to provide food for their families, unable to pay bills, or unable to pay their rents. A virus of poverty is also sweeping our nation with no plan in place to resuscitate our economy. Rowley must accept help from stakeholders and make changes to his failed team. We cannot have a 1990 repeat. Hold on. So if the last statement in your first paragraph is seeds of civil unrest are being planted and watered. The last statement in your second paragraph is we cannot have a 1990 repeat. All right. Keith Rowley has today admitted before the nation that he has been lying and misleading the country for months now. His outright lying since last year has cost the country hundreds of innocent lives, while he blames citizens themselves for his own failure. Only after outraging the whole country and exposing his lies and cruelty has Keith Christopher Rowley now been forced to, now been forced to openly admit that 1, we don't have enough vaccines, 2, we are not sure when we are getting more vaccines, and 3, we must live with this sad reality. Rowley presented no plan, admitted to a big lie, all caps, about vaccines, claimed our country is better off than countries that are actually donating vaccines to us, and presented no hope to our citizens. Most dangerously, he clearly is not going to make any real changes that are necessary to save lives. He's keeping the same failed medical team, now turned propaganda team, of Deyalsingh, Parasram, Abdul Richards, Hines, and Trotman. These people have been in charge for over 15 months and led us into a disaster for over 600 deaths. A disaster of over 600 deaths. Continuing with them in charge is deadly and amounts to premeditated state-sanctioned murder. Let me catch my breath. There's a lot being said, right? So, we'll be starting with attack, right? Because Rowley come out and play some defensive. He play a better defensive innings than the West Indies, right? And he say, here what's going on. My boy, we make a mistake. The lines was long. We underestimate. I don't know what he say, but he say we apologize, and I taking responsibility as the Prime Minister. And you know what I mean? He didn't leave the boy Deyalsingh in the cold to suffer. He stood up for him like a good leader should. But Kamla went on the attack immediately. What I don't understand, 2 things I get out of this statement, right? Before we leave it alone. Why the parallels to the 1990 and the civil unrest? You see them kind of dog whistle thing? We don't like that. The place done hard already. You understand? I'm not in agreement with a lot of the things that the government do in terms of the lockdown. Everything I say about that done documented already, and it is what it is. We continue in our extended period of lockdown. The borders closed for more than a year now. Schools closed. We know the whole story. I come here every week, and if I feel they do good, I say they do good. If I feel they ain't do good, I say they ain't do good. I not paid to be here, so I feel I can say whatever I want to say. But even if you're going to criticize, which that seemed to be MO or the plan of the opposition to criticize no matter what happens. They are responding very, very quickly with several different types of programs and press releases, right? So like I told you, they had Douglas Politics that they could respond any night with through Anil Roberts. He also started a morning show, which is called Coffee and Doubles, right? And it's not as long as Douglas Politics or not as in-depth. It looked like something he doing from home, and it's just a quick Facebook Live or recorded thing to Facebook where he talking on any issue. So the opposition clearly armed themselves to attack anything that the government do. Now, that to the average person or the listener to this episode, to this podcast, that might be, I consider a lot of the listeners to be like me and agnostic, not voting for either side blindly, not loyal to any political party, and most important, looking for information to inform the way they vote, right? I don't know that statements like that could help Kamla Prasad Bisesal and the UNC to sway me in any direction, particularly in their direction, might sway me in the opposite direction. So I've taken it to the point now where I'm accepting that these politicians talking to their base at all times, both sides, they seem to be unconcerned about the undecided voter. And hear me out, maybe it's a good strategy, you know. If a man like me can make up my mind, I don't know why I like hunting, and I make up 1/3 of the population, you sure you have a 1/3 who agree with you no matter what you say? Because, I mean, the statement I read was long, but there's just about half the statements I read there. There are plenty more, which I'm not reading. But people in the comments on the UNC page, 100% for what she said, they don't see any issue with it. But again, I wouldn't even go as far as Rowlers and them went to say that it's sedition and she could be charged. That is more plain to the base. That is not much different than what she say, in my opinion, because you just playing to your base so everybody can say, yeah, she's about cool. But I saying again to her and her squad, whoever vetting these things and putting out these things and saying, all right, good to go, let's release, let's press send. Somebody had to be doing something better and something different. Because the first 2 paragraphs you put out, the first one says that civil unrest is bubbling. The end of the second paragraph, as I pointed out, said, it reminded me of the 1990 coup. We don't want our next 1990 coup. Remember in the coup, I was a little child and they had to explain this to me. When Abu Bakr said, do not loot, what happened next? We can't handle that. We're not in a position to take nothing like that. Whether you feel your government right or wrong, you had to be able to put the country first. And the same people who you're talking about that having a hard time with this pandemic and stuff, which is a larger percentage of the population having a harder time with this than not. You can't be making statements like these. And this is where my difficulty with politicians usually lies, because they are some of the best and brightest people in the country. I say that all the time. So when they put out statements like these, they're not making mistakes. Who are you trying to rile up? Who are you trying to talk to? What are you trying to say to people when you tell them a 2021 version of do not loot? What are you trying to say? While we in a state of emergency, how you could be so irresponsible to come out and make statements that might seem in any way to be playing to somebody who looking for civil unrest or looking for a repeat of 1990. A matter of fact, I'll go as far as to say, if you are hearing things like this in your camp or you closer to the ground than me, you hearing these things out there, why wouldn't you come out and make a statement saying, hey guys, listen, no, at no point should we ever go back to 1990 or any civil unrest or anything like that. We might not be in agreement with the government, and we hear every day we're responding to what they say and we're offering help and we're giving them suggestions and they ain't taking us on. But you see that? We condemn that 100% and we cannot stand for that. You see, if you make a statement like that, you're starting to appeal to me. I starting to say, wait now. Tides changing, boy, Trinidad becoming a different place where the politics is concerned. And that is something I could see myself now saying, all right, let me run out. This is something I don't want to go as far as to say I could vote for it. I want to keep my vote very close to my chest until it's 2025 or whenever we are to see these people again. But until then, if you make statements like that or you come out and you say things like it makes the world a difference to how people view you. So I want to again salute to the Rowlers and give him credit, because I always come in here and talking about the fact that politicians don't like to apologize. I don't like it. I don't like this thing where you could be a leader of an organization, a family, a country, wherever you might be. You're going to be wrong. The people who working with you going and be wrong too. And you're going to make decisions that didn't turn out the way you expected it to turn out. We know that it must happen. You're human, all of us. So it was good of him to come out and say, yeah, what's going on? And let me give credit to Terence Deyalsingh, right? Because he also came out and apologized the day after the vaccine fiasco, which we'll talk about. But he came out and apologized the day after, and then Rowley comes Saturday, like I want to say a true leader and statesman to come out and say, listen, unreserved apology, we make her out, we should not do that, this, that, and the other. So I'm giving them credit where credit is due. I don't want to take nothing away from that. What I will say though, is that when I saw last week, and I said it here, when I hear the tone of last week's Saturday press conference, I tell myself we're going down a bad road. This is no good. This is no good. Why we come and talk about this vaccination thing in a big way, like if everybody done vaccinated already and we're ready to roll back out and now it's borders and carnival and all them things being discussed when we're still in a state of emergency. We are curfew 7 days a week and stricter curfews on 3 out of them 7 days. And the hardware is closed. Most of the businesses in this country still cannot open. I understand the what you want to call it, the urge, or you want to be optimistic and you want people to look forward to something. That makes sense. But why go out and talk about it like if, hey, all right, we come into the end of this thing when at that point in time we still 300 and 400 cases a day and double figure deaths a day. Rest in peace to all the people who would have passed and condolences to the families. So yeah, I didn't think it was a wise decision at all. But clearly, that was the mood of the camp. That was the mood of the government camp because by, I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday it was. Them men say, here was the scene. Here what's going on. Everybody, we have vaccines. Come on down. Like you remember prices, right? Come on down. It's like, you get a vaccine. And them men went, why would you do this? What in their mind make them feel like this is a good idea? I hear the men call out the numbers, But them men went in a press conference and tell everybody, come and get vaccine. No more appointment system. And you see, the problem is when you run from thing, This is when you find you're back against a wall and you're having to apologize because your vaccine system was so you get so much licks on the vaccine system. And forget the opposition, right? You're getting licks from the regular citizen. Everybody talking and complaining about the vaccine system and they ain't getting through. You ain't getting no kind of response. You're not sure what happening. And we ain't really addressing that. You're saying you kind of half apologize for that in the beginning. Say, all right, all bad with that. But it was never fixed. We still had the same set of issues. So you decide that, listen, thing good now with vaccines, so let me scrap that and everybody come down. We getting too much licks with that, so we go in with it gung-ho. You just head out. Everywhere where you know vaccine is give, you give it out. No, this is what I mean when I'm talking about the culture of our country. I don't know if people is taking into consideration what kind of culture Trinidad and Tobago have or who we really are. But what you feel going to happen, especially with the age group you're dealing with, are you talking about people who over 60? people who over 60 like to get up early and go. In this country, right? When you reach a certain age, the older guys, the earlier it is wake up. And them men going on, because we had the experience, we had the experience with ID card, with passport, with driver's license renewal. We have the experience where if you go there too late, you ain't going to get through. On the port, it's our places on the port where I had to go to clear goods. It's Plip Deco, boy, down in Point Lisa's area. No? I went on that port outside. It's 3:30 in the morning. I reached by the port and park up outside, and somebody was in front of me. And when the security reached, must be 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, they come with some chits. And as we go in, they say, well, all right, we could only take the first 20 people. And then they open the gate and they let 20 drive in. And that was it. If you come after that. So people who think the port open 8 o'clock and reach there for 8:15, 8:30, 9 o'clock. Because the place open 8 and you're running 8 to 4. You have nothing to get. You're going nowhere because it's nothing. You have to come there as early as possible. You have to try and be in the first 20. So if that is our experience as a people, what you feel going to happen? Everybody went on a rush and line up for the vaccines, and people themselves, forget the Prime Minister and Deyalsingh and thing for a while. You in studying your own health. Like why you all right? So let me say you went and you line up early because you trust them. They come out and they say everybody come. You was calling and making appointments and you wasn't getting through. So why not head down one time and sort out your situation, right? But when you reach there and you see where's the scene, like hundreds only and just turn back and say, nah, don't bother with this because, I might catch COVID waiting to get a vaccine for COVID. Or some only who in the line self, only in trying to maintain a like real distance from one another and keep all your mask correct and everything, just in case, because your own health and safety, you don't need no government to come and tell you that you shouldn't stand. I mean, maybe we do. Maybe we need that, yes, because we're hearing that for the last how much time now. So that was a whole fiasco. That was a whole, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a joke because it showed me a few things. Number one, clearly, the people who, it's like strategy, not talking to operation. I'm going to put it that way, right? The people who running the country or who making the decisions as to when business could open, business could close, people could get vaccine at what age, where we getting vaccines from. They don't seem to have much conversations with the people who actually in a health center or running a health center. It's a strange thing. The people, you know how them people must be feel who working in health centers for the when we start getting vaccines must be early this year. This first set of vaccines come like February, if I remember right. Then people working non-stop since then, and it ramping up now as we getting more vaccines and more people want the vaccine. You know how them feel when that man say, "Hey, everybody, come down, we'll get vaccine." Listen, them people, when they was home that day or they was in the health office, when they make the announcement, then people say, what? You know, them was yours vexed since then. I see a woman in Diego Martin Health Center, a nurse it looked like. She come out and she went into buff mode one time. That's part of we culture too. We get good buffer people. She come outside and she was like, listen, here what's going on. I have 100 numbers. 100. It's all talking. Buff. But it's not the nicest way to talk to people and thing, right? You had the elderly there and thing. That was the nicest thing to do. And then when people line up, the people was complaining that they line up from 5 in the morning and all these things. Only to hear it's only have 100 and they can't get through. So granted, that is not the nicest thing to say to somebody, or that is not the nicest way to tell nobody nothing. But at the end of the day, you know, frustrated she must be. Once since she heard the announcement, she frustrated because she know exactly what would happen. So it makes me wonder, like Deyalsingh and his squad, who will he be talking to? I'm convinced now that Ole having this meeting an hour or two before the press conference. That's why Ole starting late right through. Ole talking it over and they say, right, let me go with that. Ole can't be consulting. My boy Peter George done come out and say Ole ain't consulting with the business leaders already. But like Ole ain't even consulting with the people in the ministry. People in the ministry, I was giving so much praise to Santa Cruz Health Office. So salute to them for the great job that they're doing. And I'm hearing more and more stories about health centers and things that are doing a good job with it. They could have tell you what would happen with this. I tell you, my guy was coming to see security. When we reached there for 8:30, the things injection. My mother appointment was for 9. The man stopped us and said, "Nah, wait in your car." When you know what I mean, I tell myself, all right, well, about 5 to 9, we go walk back down and see. Only for the fella to leave the health office, walk up the streets where everybody park and come and tell everybody, all right, it's 9 o'clock, yeah, come now. You know what I mean? These people have a system and doing a good job with it. And granted, the appointment system might not be working well, but that's not in the control of the people in the health office. But dread, the people in the health office could tell you that would happen. Forget the people in the health office. Any fool could tell you that Trinidadian would have reached there 5 o'clock in the morning and bring chair to play all fours and camp out the whole day. So you put the thing at risk. But again, I was glad to hear them come in and apologize. Although I do feel like if you should not be in no position to apologize for that because you're supposed to know better. All these seasoned politicians, all your accustomed doing this. You're the Minister of Health. How long now? You really thought that this was a good idea? At what point you thought this was a good idea? Beyond the point that people will congregate. You don't have enough vaccines to vaccinate everybody who come first served. Like, what I was thinking? That is one of the stranger things I think I ever see. That man just say, everybody knew that was an issue from the time he announced it. But that is where we are. Vaccines are on the way. We have 800,000 to come. You know, they move like if we get the 800,000 already. That's exactly what I was saying about the thought of being vaccinated could make you sort of act like you don't get vaccine already, you know, like if this thing going away. But you know, as I'm thinking about this, I'm wondering now if we can manage 200,000 or 100,000 people how to get 2 doses. How we managing when that 800 reach boy? But I would think, I see my boy Preval was only telling me the whole morning, like he was more vexed than anybody else. Yeah, man. I wonder if I should say he's a outright PNM supporter or if I should keep that to myself. But he and all was saying, listen, you have people who manage crowds in this country before. They have a place named Tribe. I see about people in large numbers who come in at a short notice to come in a venue for the same purpose. They've done this before. I see Chinese Laundry, who are custom managing an event with, 20,000 people or whatever it is, being Marshall Monday, talking on Instagram and saying basically, hey, look at the Grocery Owners Association. The Grocery Owners Association come out and do their own vaccine drive. Now, I'm not sure how they work out that, what was allocated to them and all that, but they get allocation, which makes sense because they're on the front line, just like the healthcare workers. And they had a system that I not hear nobody complaining about it. You know why? Because you know how you just go in the grocery? The grocery is first come, first served. Think about it. Any grocery you go to in this country is first come, first served. It have no appointment to go in a grocery in this country. So you have a whole body of people who know how to manage a first come, first served business. Before you announce that, why not go to the Grocery Owners Association and say, here, where's the scene? This is the amount of health office we have. This is the normal people that come in usually every day. And we act like if we don't have a database, well, maybe we don't. But we're supposed to know everybody in this country, age and everybody. Like, we're supposed to have that info. You have experts there who could do it. You have much bigger venues. We have so much a stadium around this country sit down doing nothing for how long? How much a complex and sporting facility? How much a community center? Yes, the vaccine has to be cold stored and all that, but you could arrange that. If you just take a step back and say, well, all right, what's he planning? What's he plan? Get logistics people to look how smooth the army running their own. A nice little drive-through system, two cars, what do you call that? I don't know what the army, so 2 lines in main rank and file. I don't even know if that make no sense, but 2 lines and cars coming up, you know what I mean? You even have some Venezuelans who wash car in Chagon as a drive-through car. You could have called them and asked them like how to manage this system. But again, it comes down to me that politicians, not on nobody, them no care. Politicians are telling you, anytime you get help from the political system is incidental to what was after their own interest. And the reason I'm saying so is this. Last year, during COVID, when it was election time, both parties could have come together and figure out ways to campaign and everything they need to do because it's in their best interest. They want to vote, they want the way you vote, and they want to think. So while Kamla Persad-Bissessar could write a whole epilogue about what she didn't like about the vaccinating system, there wasn't saying that when both sides was congregated. When Saddam Hussein was in Sawa celebrating a big jam when he beat Jason Williams. Remember? There was no sort of long release and them kind of thing at that point in time because it's in their best interest. Them men looking for something out of you. They in go mode. That's their favorite time. No issues. So you're telling me that same election system, you can't go by the EBC. Because when I go and vote, I had to go quite Mukarapu Road, I had to go by Junior Sec, and every little area, every part of St. James you're from or however you register in a different classroom or polling booth or whatever it is. So you all could then involve the EBC, who is manage a process like this every 5 years where everybody, the vast majority of the country is catered for and expected to come in large numbers early in the morning, just like here where we usually rush and do things early if we could. Why we couldn't get EBC? All the schools closed. Every single one of them closed for more than a year. We couldn't just take one step back and say, listen, we go use the schools, we're going based on that same EBC list, pull out your old polling card. If you're interested in getting vaccinated, come down to the school and do so. They started telling me now about limited human resources and they don't have enough people. You have a whole army. From what I understand, people administering a vaccine is not brain surgery. I don't want to say that is nothing, but you could train people to do it. You have an army who are already trained to do it you could bring people out and you have volunteers home, ex-nurses, people who willing to come out and do this. But somehow this is where we land up, you know what I mean? The usual place where it's failure. So credit for apologies. But it's the same thing when I talk about attack and defense, it's the same thing. Because as much as you try to give them credit, then you hear something like this.
If COVID had a face, it would look like the UNC.
Come now, Fitzy. You can do better than that. That's best. That is the best you could come up with. So in the midst of all this, right, where all you yourself, all you're talking about how terrible it is, how bad the situation is, we need to get vaccinated, people dying, people. This is the best thing you could find to say. If COVID had a face, it would look like the UNC. This is what these men too far removed from people, you know? Because always forget that it's real people you're dealing with real families who pass away in real life. And you know, and who might also be UNC supporters and believe in anything the UNC say, or find the UNC is the better party to vote for. Nothing wrong with that at all. But so when you make statements like these, right? And again, I'm trying to take it now that the goal is just to play for your base on both sides. So you say that, so PNMites laugh at that and they say, UNC is COVID. So it can't be that you interested at all in the undecided voter or swaying people to support your party or anything like that. You're real unconcerned. You're not realizing that as a person who responsible for national security of everybody in this country, that had to be one of the most irresponsible statements you could possibly make about a virus like this that wreaking so much havoc all over the world and here in Trinidad and Tobago right now. Like how you could find that is a good thing to say. And right after that, when somebody objects to it or whatever they do in Parliament, his response is, Mr. Speaker, what is my crime? The Speaker overrule it. And then he say, you are a very fair man. It is like, dude, look, where are you from? Always talk to people and think, anyhow, I forget your window and think you have problems with your window if people looking piperish and so on. So maybe the UNC face you're talking about that is a COVID face is also the Piper face. And you know, I forget, you couldn't see the Piper in people, so it might just be that. But boy, listen, politicians is it. But again, we're in a good place because plenty vaccines come in. That's the good news. We still we are eye on the 800 down the road, but literally today, while I planning for this episode, I see they say 200,000 more. One man working in this country, you see that Chinese ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, that man is working. He working Twitter, he making sure that he puts out, hey, listen, this thing land and where it is, and he tell you when it leave China. He show you a video when it reach here and they're unloading it and saying he is working. Somehow though, Pfizer, I don't know if the American, where Pfizer make in the States? Because the American ambassador do seem too interested in these things. So he not as transparent. Or maybe it's us. Where they say 80 vials of Pfizer is now available for everybody. It seems, you remember when people had vaccine brand preferencing going on? People looking for specific vaccines for themselves. Pfizer was at the top of the list. That's what everybody was saying they're waiting for. They want no AstraZeneca. They want no Sinopharm. They're looking for some Pfizer up in them, right? So when people hear Pfizer coming and saying Ministry of National Security puts out the most obscure, maybe he was too busy looking for COVID faces in the UNC to actually put out a proper press statement. But he say a few vaccines coming in. That's basically just the thing he puts out. A few vaccines coming in. When people looking for clarification, I couldn't believe it's a real press conference. They went on to make an equally obscure thing to say, boy, it's just a small amount. Tell people had to press, it seems, and then they come out and they say, well, all right, we're getting 80 vials. I thought it was 80 vaccines myself, so I tried to say, but the state's mama guy in me. But apparently it's 80 vials, and 80 vials is at minimum 400 vaccines, probably whatever 6 by 80 is you could get at too. But the secrecy with which it come was the odd thing, because just last week a man say he hear vaccines come, the Pfizer man, right, from Pfizer, but he say, I hear vaccines in the country and people have Pfizer and they're keeping it for themselves and it's the 1% and all that. Little I know that within a week of that statement and Gary Griffith shutting down that statement, the Minister of National Security will be putting out a release that we receive vaccines. After Gary Griffith and them come out and say last week when this was an issue that any vaccines that are coming into the country is the government dealing with that and the Minister of Health and all these types of things. So surprising to me that the Minister of Health wasn't the one who come out and say we have Pfizer, but the newly minted Minister of National Security. So that was awkward, and it still have plenty questions where that is concerned, because it just seems as though when you do things secret, so shoo as people say, you're done looking shaky and suspect already. And then you come out and say, no, well, here what's going on is really not for everybody, this just for the Ministry of National Security. Again, which I support fully. Because to me, the ministry, the people who working in the Ministry of National Security, let me use police as an example. It's more important than police get vaccinated than me getting vaccinated personally. I say this all the time. Them fellas are the front line and they're dealing with a lot. Look how many police officers get COVID. Look how much of them they say with a pass away. You're seeing them week by week. You're seeing the numbers and the faces, young people and all that. So if there's a chance that the police force could get vaccinated before me, I would have give them, if you ask me and I was next and a policeman come, I'd let them go through. You know what policeman I let pass and buy wings before me by the wings man in the savannah? Or what you used to do when you buying doubles and the police reach, you don't let the police go ahead. Not because you have crimes outstanding, but because you say, let the police go ahead. You know what I mean? The police are doing important work, and it's not the safest thing for a policeman to stand up by a doubles man waiting for doubles when he could be getting doubles fast, eat quick, and then when they get a call, they could respond to it, right? So I would not mind giving up my vaccine appointment for police. So I don't mind if Pfizer come in and it's for the police. But why the secrecy? When it coming in secret like that, you don't expect that people will be suspect. And I had to quote my boy Philip Alexander. I had to make my disclaimers clear to it because I hear now that I am a Philip Alexander supporter. That is shocking to me. But he said, 10 minutes after I released information that customs flagged and seized a small cache of Pfizer vaccines yesterday, an unsigned release on a Ministry of National Security letterhead is hurriedly released to the media stating that it was a gift from the United States. Funny thing is, customs was not aware of any such gift. The documents carried by the courier was not addressed to the government of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, but to whom it may concern. Why wasn't customs aware of such a shipment coming as they were for all others? Why weren't there normal media hype when it was a gift? He say more than that, right? But that's the one that stand out to me because when we get small amounts of vaccines, be it from St. Vincent or the Caribbean neighbors or wherever, every time vaccines was coming, it was a big announcement. This is the first time we get Pfizer, the brand preference one, the one everybody had liked, the Michael Jordan of vaccines, apparently. And nothing, boy. Silence. A little release in the thing. All the fellas would be on the TV. All they set up a fresh press conference to come out and say, hey, we get Pfizer. We doing a good job. We doing great for our people and them kind of thing. All they'll be first people to come out and say that. But the Pfizer is a shoo scene. Nobody don't know what exactly we get. Well, it's a vials, right? We had to do the maths eventually to figure out that apparently it's 6 per vaccine if you use the right needle or whatsoever it is. So either way, we'll hear more about that story, because that story not done, and that idea that is for the Ministry of National Security. I using police as the example, but you tell me, you feel policemen, the regular average Joe policeman, getting any of them hundreds of vaccines that come now? I have my doubts. But anyway, on to more important things. This is Father's Day week, so I'm taking this time to say a happy Father's Day to all the fathers who listen to this podcast. Everybody, all fathers. This is not a mothers who also is fathers and they play the role of the mother and father because the man this and the that. We're not celebrating all year. We go get all day in July where we can celebrate mother and father, who father is be mother and father and who mother is be father. Well, you know what I mean? We celebrating Father's Day. And just like how all women is mothers, all men is fathers. We don't want to hear not no absentee. We don't want to hear about no deadbeat. All men are fathers. Even if you had to speak it into being sometimes. But before I get into my Father's Day thing, there was a certain fella here say he have some things to say for Father's Day. You have things you want to say for Father's Day, Pa?
Yes.
Talking to the mic. Let me hear what you want to say for Father's Day.
A poem to you.
To me? Mm-hmm. All right. You sure?
Maybe.
What?
Okay.
All right,
I'm joking.
Let me hear this poem.
Corey Shepard is his name. Being a superhero is not his aim.
What?
He's not 100% fit.
What?
But I never, ever see him quit. He's always as cool as a cucumber.
That's right.
And encourages me to do better.
That's right.
We are like 2 peas in a podcast. Time spent together is the best reward.
That is not right, man.
We are like 2 peas in a pod.
Oh.
Time spent together is the best reward. Ah! I scream as we play around. As he tries to pin me down to the ground. There's no greater man in my eyes. God's greatest gift That is my guy. I love my father.
You too, boy. Bye. Thank you very much. Now you get me all sentimental. I know if I'm gonna be able to finish this. No? The man said he had a poem. I didn't expect all that. You know, so now that I'm feeling like some type of way. Let me see if I can get back on track. But no, take this Father's Day to make somebody a father, right? Like I tell the women every year, make somebody a father for the Father's Day this year. You know what I mean? We're doing the quarantine, done lockdown already. What you gonna do? You know what I mean? So yeah, Father's Day is one of the forgotten ones. So I'm asking the listeners, like, who do we typically buy things for your father? Like I might be somebody who might be a little difficult to buy things for. I think I don't want nothing. That's what I'm coming down to. I don't want nothing. I like a little home lime. You can't even do a home lime these days. So Father's Day is just one of them times. I myself, as much as I like to talk about Father's Day and we don't get nothing and they don't pay no attention to me, to be honest, fellas, let me be honest. I pay more attention to the Mother's Day than the Father's Day. I can't tell you last time I do something for my father or with my father during. I'm not going to change that this year. I will do something for my father for the Father's Day this year. Maybe I'll call him up for some roomie and give him some lickings. Pause. But give him a licks in the room, you know what I mean? Maybe that might be the idea. Get the fellas together. I don't know if men vaccinated. All card games on pause until men get vaccines or waiting to see. But happy Father's Day to all the listeners and even people who go and tell your father happy Father's Day and buy something nice for your father. I was planning to come here and talk about a few Instagram pages where I saw little nice things for dads. You know, because I know certain people is listening and that would mean they have between Tuesday and Sunday to get me something from these nice little Instagram pages. But in true father's form, I can't remember the name of the damn page and then, but have some people doing some nice things, right? To take it from me. But it's a whole lockdown. You can't even buy nothing from nobody. And you know, a good thing to do for fathers might be to, especially the husband type fathers, might be to spend less of the money, you know what I mean? Just don't buy nothing, right? Just keep the money in the bank. But again, happy Father's Day to everybody. I hope everybody enjoy it. And I salute to some of the fathers. Like I don't know about you, but I grew up with plenty fathers in my life. If you listen to this podcast, you met my father before, and that is my guy. My business partner, my partner, my roomie enemy, my all fours partner. And I'm my father, yeah, that's my guy, Ken Kobe. So salute to you and happy Father's Day from me, Janelle Cash, Dana Kobe, Jonathan Kobe, Stephen Kobe, Zachary Shepherd Bab, Justin Cash, Asia Cash. I don't know if Asia's name is Cash now, but yeah, Asia is Cash from now, yes, Asia Cash and Jada Cash, you know what I mean? Like, you just cash up this whole thing, so salute to you, my guy. But again, I also a very special Father's Day to other people who didn't bong to be my father, you know? We like to talk about fathers who walk away, you know what I mean? And deadbeat fathers and who didn't this and who didn't that. But you know, we don't give enough credit to fathers who didn't have to be fathers there and play a fatherly role. So unlike Sion from last week, it have plenty men who play fatherly roles. So I have to salute in my life to men like Albie, who was a father to me. I remember him picking me up from Common Entrance. That is how long ago we're talking about. Who didn't have to do nothing and didn't have to be there or in any way. But salute to him for always being a part of my life. A man who turned out to be, well, everybody know about me and Father Gregory. That is who was Brother Gregory back in the day and was a father to many of us. You know, say Father Abraham had many sons, Father Gregory had many sons. And so many people who I credit him with saving a lot of lives in Fatima. When men wanted to go astray and was trying their best to go in a different direction, Father Gregory was always there to keep us together and to defend us in a lot of ways too. And then a man who come like my father now, playing a very fatherly role in my life. Another Romy beaten stick by the name of Mr. George Porgy Charles. It looks like hell in the Romy, you know, but who always there for me to advise, to guide, to just say, you know what I mean, to help. Because as much as I stop with my father and think my father is not the most, he like me. I don't know him to be the most handy man they ever had in town. But Porgy is definitely that. Anything you need fixing, installing, anything like little welding, joinery, Porgy doing anything, and is so much like a father in my life. So salute to him, and again, salute to all the fathers who have been listening to this podcast and are part of it. We want to find ways to revere the people who are fathers in our lives and who play those roles. We had to, and speak some things into being too, right? It don't matter. Whatever happened in the past, it done happen already, right? Forgive your father day. Let me call it that too now. Forgive your father day, right? If your father wasn't around certain people, forgive him. You know what I mean? Let's move on. In other news this week, I see out of the blue. I even I you know, I mean, I scrolling through Instagram and nothing else doing these days, and I see Preeze of the DSS in an accident, and prayers for Preeze. Remember prayers for Preeze? Well, we had a real reason for prayers for Preeze now. So the man get in an accident, right? And this is not a laughing matter, right? He get in an accident, and apparently somebody was damaged bad in the accident. And I was glad to hear nothing happened to him, right? Because I mean, he's now a public figure, a very open public figure in our society now, and the DSS, I know what happened to the DSS money now, but whatever was the minimum amount of time that the police could have hold that for. They clearly passed that time, so they must get extensions or whatever. You know my theory about that. I feel them men who call the thing and they get raid and nobody had to pay back, and that money doesn't bust up however it had to bust up. But unfortunately, my guy got in an accident on the highway, and the first thing that strike me is that, wait now, this is after curfew hours, but I know they say he was in the army and things, so I don't know if he was patrolling, but apparently he's in the army no more. But he got in an accident on the highway. The man come out the next day to say about Obia and like the Obia him. This man put this on Instagram, you know, and how like somebody remember that shooting on Ryson Road last week. I can't remember the fella name, but whoever was the woman in the car, she say, let them know they miss and this and that and it's war from here on. So Preeze quoting them is like, let them know they miss. And I thinking, but what's going on? Like, who's trying to off Preeze? But I realize it's a narrative they're trying to play into, because little did I know, I go on Facebook today and a video is going around of this unfortunate accident, right? And I don't know who was targeting Preeze, or if the idea is to push that narrative as much as possible to distract so that people, you know, the same attack and defense I'm talking about, you know, because the men trying to make it seem like somebody against them and somebody fighting them, and he was going to enrich so much black people from Little Dubai, but it didn't work out. This man, when I see the video from the thing, he clearly see a red light ahead of him. Take the shoulder on the left. If you know McCoy, heading west. He take the shoulder and come around and break the red light. And a fellow who innocently, like he waiting on his turn to, well, yeah, he waiting on his turn to turn. He waiting to turn where he should turn from. He heading east and turning to head south. Slam into Preeze van, allegedly or whatever, and the van turn over. So we're coming on the thing to tell people about Obia and who against you, and what do you think name again? You're coming to talk about who Obia and who against you, and you miss, like, they're only still gassing people up with this thing, like that Susu thing could never work. All of them was going and crash. I don't care, like, I listen to people how they have their reasoning out what could work and what can't work, and the government mash up the little Susu thing, and I'd like a lot of people still have a ton of faith in him, because when you watch his Instagram, I mean, people wishing him well, which I also wish him well. I hope the best for him. I hope nothing happens to him serious, and prayers as well for the other person who was in the accident, who understand have internal bleeding and all kind of issues. But it's poor decision making. Just like the idea of putting out a Susu there that could never add back up for people money, like David Mohammed Mats. You make a poor decision. I don't know if I see somebody was saying the other day, they're surprised like accidents ain't gone up just the hours before the curfew time. And it's true, like I have a partner. Let me not call his name, right? Them fellas come and check me here the other day, and we taking a lime, normal thing, you know what I mean? Just passing through. And this man leave by me must be 20 to 7 to reach Gasparillo. And not just Gasparillo, quite a hard bag, and he nearly living in Nolly's tunnel. And this man basically, it's 20 minutes, there's no way he could reach down there, but the speed I see he take off it by my house, I say, Lord boy, let this man just reach home safe. I was like, you know, why put yourself through that? What are we doing that for? Like, we wait until is the last possible time that we could reach home, and then we waiting to cry like homeboy, but the police wicked and what they do him and all kind of thing. The man with the breathalyzer, and it's unnecessary. So I'm not sure if it's because when I see the timestamp on the video with that Preeze accident, it's saying just about 6:45, and if there's a Friday, if I remember right, if it's not the Friday, it's the Saturday. So which means he hustling to go home or whatsoever the case is. But at the end of the day, accidents has happened. You make a real bad decision that could have caused you and somebody else their life. But on top of that, come on, son, don't try to make it sound like, you know, this victim role we playing as what I see as being a cover up for not being able to repay the people their money. Time to move on from that, man. We not have that. All right, let's talk a little about some sports. We're here for a little while and we talk about sports. No, I want to admit something, right? Most of the times I talk about sports here, it's about a cross-section of women who's called me and like, Corey, this is not it. And I had to agree with them to an extent, sports is officially boring. Nobody wants to say it, I go say it. Because I tell myself, well, all right, Euro starting and have football going on all day, is NBA playoffs. Number one, I can't stay up so late in the night to watch no playoffs. I don't know none of these basketball people. I don't know who on which team. I still looking for Patrick Ewing and them. So once them in there, I in a mess. When I hear Knicks, I looking for Oakley and Ewing and Starks and the boys. I say, well, we good to go. I don't know none of these people. The football is boring. Every time I put on one of them football games, I drop asleep. And you know what is the truth? To tell you how boring sports is, and this is the argument we was having in some groups last week about how important sports media is and this and that. Sports media, the importance of traditional and mainstream media for sports is diminishing by the day. And this Euro is an example of it. Because it's so boring, and men ain't go admit it, because we want something to do, especially when you see we home here. It's nice and comforting to have a little sport on the TV and something we could talk about in WhatsApp group and them kind of thing. But I'm putting it to you that the main things that anybody's studying in the sports is the entertainment part of it. So a man score a goal from about half lines. That was a big scene. You know what I mean? The keeper wrap up in a net. The memes going around faster than anything else that happened in the game. Because I don't know who's the man who scored. Me know who's that keeper who was quite there and what he was doing. That is real fake hustling. Like, what you running back? She should just stand up and let her goal score. He was never getting back there. No use to make the attempt. But that's the things that people talking about the most. The things that people talking about the most is like highlights, like one little moment in the game. I watching them game, I drop in asleep like hell. When I wake up, I find out the score, and then I go to YouTube and I see who scored what and if it was a good goal and them kind of thing. But this is a little boring for me. I wonder if there's how Trinidad gonna be looking going into the World Cup. You know what I mean? We have a new I had to mention as well from Euros. Salute to the captain of that Denmark team. Like, I saw that Eriksson situation where Eriksson collapsed on the field, and that had to be one of the scariest things I've ever seen watching football. I see men get break foot. I see men collapse before too. Like, and the thing went wrong about Fabrice Muamba. I remember a few situations like that here in our college league as well, before where players collapse. And Eriksson survived and make a recovery to the point where he tell them continue the match later on the day, even though I had doubts as to whether the game would continue or not. But that was good to see that he was able to recover in a meaningful way. You know what I mean? That was looking so scary in the moment. And there was another youth man I saw in Jamaica's college league, football league. And if I'm not mistaken, the guy who used to host Smile Jamaica, I want to say Simon Crosskiller. I hope I don't have any wrong name, but he was the coach of the team, and boy, that was so sad, boy. That man break. That was just a whole sad scene. So to see Eriksson, that happened with Eriksson, and he able to get back up, that was that. We could just thank God for that, because that would not be nice. That would be a damper on the whole tournament. All of these tournaments boring still, but that would be a real damper on it, and I ain't sure how their team in particular, but the players in general would recover from something like that. So salute to the Euros. It's boring like hell. But in our local sports here, we have big changes. We bad talk them fellas last week. It looked like Fenwick was untouchable. For a minute, I say, well, Fenwick really untouchable, because I saw Derek King and Kelvin Jack get the axe one time. Like, I don't know if they was waiting for them, like normalization committee was waiting in the airport or something, but as soon as they reach back, they get the axe. I think rightfully so. I think it should get rid of everybody. Anybody who, forget the administration for now, right? Them in a case of their own. But anybody who was responsible for managing that team or coaching that team should go. I see a story. Well, you all saw the Hops and Chana thing, right? I see this when the men come back and they had to quarantine for 2 weeks. They get 2 hops. It looked like a white and a whole wheat and 2 cup of Chana. What them players don't know, right? Somebody clearly take that picture and send it out there. But what them don't realize is that they're doing better than we. Because at the end of the day, we can't even get Hops and Chana to buy when the day come out again. Hops and Chana deliver for them. All right, I mean, it didn't look good. It didn't look like nothing that athletes should be eating after having played World Cup qualifier. But then again, we really didn't play the World Cup qualifiers. So maybe that's why it's hard. And it's making us feel bad for the local based players, you know, because some of those other players, I'm not sure if the whole team travels back during this COVID time, but traditionally what happens is the people who live here and who play here come back. But the people who going back to their clubs abroad, they usually just head back to whatever country they're playing in. So it's making sure it's showing like how we treat local players and them things sometimes. But Derek King is out. And Kelvin Jack is out. Kelvin Jack put young Gary Griffith in his place, and part of his statement was that your father don't have as much influence in local football as me. Well, Kelvin, it ain't looking so good so far. I mean, you probably still have plenty of influence, but right now, they're not looking so good. You know what I mean? But going back to that whole idea of Gary Griffith and his son, because I see a piece of press conference today where he was addressing it. This Gary Griffith, right? And keep in mind that this is a Ministry of National Security press conference that is held to deal with issues that are going on with COVID in the country, right? We have a state of emergency that is going on right now. We also have curfews in effect. We have 4 days a week where the curfew starts at 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. And then we have 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where it's 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. The cases might be reducing now, but it's still in the hundreds. 200-300 is why I saw up to Monday. And unfortunately, it's still at deaths from COVID. So that is a major situation, and we have all kind of issues to deal with, right? As the opposition was saying, socioeconomic issues, all that we faced with, and the police have a major role to play. But somehow, with all those things going on, Gary Griffith could take about 10 minutes out of a press conference, at the end of the press conference, before people could start asking questions, after having addressed all the things, to talk about his issue with his son, even to the point where he's referencing Kelvin Jack telling his son that he have more influence in local football than him. Remember we were talking about that last week? Like I was saying with my son, look, I mean, there's no chance, zero, that I could ever be in a position where I'm questioning the authority of somebody who my son had to report to. Not for his job. I have I was going to say taekwondo class, but that's a bad example because I can't really question Sir Paul. You know, salute my guy Sir Paul in South in Sumad Gardens. They have Wolverine taekwondo. I couldn't question him if I wanted to, you know what I mean? That might end bad for my jaw. But the school teacher, I tell you, Mr. Javel trying to turn my son into a priest slowly but sure. I surprised the poem he said that no little priesthood and thing built into it too, you know what I mean? And the blood of Jesus or nothing wasn't in it. But who am I to go and question him or especially publicly? I'm not saying that if I have an issue with something the teacher doing, I wouldn't go and confront the teacher or ask them about it. But I don't see the situation where I'm going to take my son's side automatically over what happened in the place he reported to, whether it's a sports team or whatever. It's just a awkward thing. Worse again, to use your post as commissioner of police to address these things is not right. I don't see how that could be right. That is not an issue of national security. You there to address specific issues with the policing in the country in a pandemic, in the worst point of the pandemic we have ever been in, where the country under a state of emergency. But you had time and space to discuss issues which is personal matters to you and your family. All right, you put it in the context of national football, and he tried to say, which rightfully so, that the football and sports is always a part of crime fighting, and the interest of the national team is also in the interest of crime fighting. I mean, yeah, Gary, the interest of the national team is in. I would agree that once the national team's doing well, we have a better chance to manage crime in this country. I could make that connection too, right? What part of your press conference had anything to say about the West Indies cricket that's going on right now, where locals here who might be in depressed areas or from disadvantaged socioeconomic means? How much of that you talk about where West Indies team performance is? I didn't hear none of that in your press conference. They have a lady named Tyra Gittens right now who looking like the best thing we have out of Trinidad to represent us in this year Olympics in Tokyo. And who have a possibility to medal, who I following and everybody following, and she's starting to bubble up in mainstream media. Where was your mention of the TTOC or the Olympic team or Tyra Gittens and her performance and how much it could do for young girls who might be able to stay out of a life of crime and get into a life of sports? It seems as though it's only the national team, senior team at that. It used to be the junior team and the under 17, as you say, but your son graduated past that. And now that is your focus, because again, that's gonna help us with crime and all that. All right, cool, that's gonna help us. How it helping us with crime when your statement in that thing, I'm not sure if people catch it, but part of his statement in that is, my son works so hard to break through on this team. He must be vexed if he put in all that work and he didn't get selected for the first team. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he was trying to say. And I have to agree with Kelvin Jack. He's disrespectful to the coaches and to the teammates. If Kelvin Jack said teammates, right? Let me stick to that. It's very disrespectful to your teammates. Because when you're playing on a side, it's only 11 spaces. You have to take a man's space for you to get on a football team or any other team sport. For you to start, somebody else had to sit down. So Gary Griffith, in a national press conference, in the first day of the week, where we dealing with this pandemic and vaccine issues and all, like Pfizer for Ministry of National Security, and the media has so much important questions to ask. We done knock out the World Cup already. The 3 coaches associated with that fired publicly. Derek King and Kelvin Jack the next day, and Fenwick a few days after. But you could come out and talk about that as if the players who play in front of your son, them never work hard. Them ain't put in no time. They didn't make no effort. You run through a long list of what your son do. He playing for this club in England. He do this. He exercise so hard. He play under 17. So them other fellas who was on the team, them ain't do nothing. Your son deserves to get the play, but by your own assessment of his skill level and who he is in football, because you're going as far as to say all the detractors who say he on the team, I want you to play. If I see you know nothing about sports, hear the man's statement. I'm going to bring a 5-a-side for you to play him one-on-one. What the hell is this man talking about? 5-a-side to play one-on-one? You take the time out of press conference with important matters to basically reduce the other players on the team below your son. You say that your son as a young player is good enough to make the team, and by your assessment, the other players should not make. So now I understand why they say you was in a WhatsApp group with the coaches and thing, and you delete yourself from the WhatsApp group. So the coaches and thing going, I want to know what's the plan for Angus Eve. Angus Eve is the new head coach. Salute to Angus Eve. I rather see Angus Eve there any day than Terry Fenwick. Number 1, he better look it. Number 2, he's a treaty. Number 3, Angus Eve never coughed down no butt. Yeah, I don't know if maybe I should know. Carnage boys. You never know. But I rather see Angus Eve there any day. So Angus Eve, I want to know if Gary Griffith is in a WhatsApp group with Angus Eve now to make sure that Angus Eve start his son in the Gold Cup, or make sure that he's retained on the national team. Or I want to understand where Gary Griffith talk about all his medals and his involvement in national hockey and how much of a national team fanatic he is. If Angus Eve don't pick your son in that final 22, will you be supporting the national team? Because it's real blurry now, what is your office versus what is your personal life? Because you're using the office to discuss things that is a part of your personal life. And as using Kelvin Jack words again, it is disrespectful to your teammates. I'm saying that to Gary Griffith, it is disrespectful. You have your attorney saying down next day, you have senior policemen saying down next day. It is disrespectful to your teammates. You have the media there to cover the story. You have politicians there who dependent on you to enforce what is happening in the society now so we could get the best protection we could get against a COVID that is spreading. So what I would say, immortal words, irreplaceable words of Kelvin Jack. You're very disrespectful to your teammates. I hope we could get that together. But there's no use talking to him, because anybody who says anything against him is public enemy number 1, and is to be dragged publicly using his platform as commissioner of police, because Denise Red and Lasana Liebert started catch bullets one time. It's like strays, like brrr, everybody getting shot. You know what I mean? So the man say Denise Red and Lasana Liebert never kick a lime, but they come in to talk about national football, and Lasana is crying down the national team at every step of the way and all that. Well, listen. Them fellas had to fight their own battle, because two of them, both of them big in their sense, both of them are public figures. It's a cockroach and no right in foul party. So me ain't getting involved in that. But what I will say is that a little birdie tell me Lasana willing to debate him anytime, anywhere. So hopefully, I keep telling them, I say on the Birdie and Barney podcast, will they bring on Gary Griffith? Come and talk to him. Let me hear what he had to say. It's that they're gonna be about a 5-hour long episode. So hopefully you do it. Let me see. Or bring on Gary Griffith Jr., not Jr., the third, which he say about 100 times in that press conference. Bring out Gary Griffith the third, let me see what it is he have. And I hope somebody take the challenge to play him the 5-a-side one-on-one so that we could, let me see what the youth man have, man. As a layman myself who's just a fan of the football, I would love to see what kind of touches Gary Griffith the third working with, you know what I mean? Let's see. One more thing I want to say about that. The accusation that was made was that he didn't get selected for the team. He was upset. I can understand that. He's a young boy and thing and you're upset. But again, when your coaches and them back you up, I used to play basketball for a coach named Beef. You could imagine me pulling out a phone to record Beef and play me and think, you want me playing for the rest of the season if I do that? Or Tranquil had a football coach named Anisette. But Anisette and them was no joke. You could have gone and tell Anisette and them was winning when we was there. Tranquil was a hard team to beat. Or coaches even in Fatima. I remember we had a coach named Harry Ramdas. Salute my guy Harry. If anybody remember Harry days. There was the two incidents with him. I might have talked about them before. They had one time me and a fellow playing. This is under 14 football. Me and him playing up front. We playing 4-4-2. So two men up front. And boy, listen. We going to play Woodbrook Sec. And Woodbrook Sec have a man about 35 years old playing last stopper for them with a gold teeth and a high fade. I frightened. And Gavin Chimps, I'm frightened too. We frightened like hell. So as I get him, listen, nothing like me, greedy for goal. You can't be greedier for goal than me. When I get a ball, I want to shoot. I want to score. That's all I be studying. I don't see nobody else. When men say I don't pass to them, it's because I see black. So when I get the ball, I knock it off to Gavin. One time Gavin give me back. From the time I see the man coming, I trying to give back Gavin. Yeah, and Gavin about half my size, but skillful. And boy, because early in the game, the man come and tell me, boy, if anyone on this got coughing all in the face, boy, I frightened like hell from that moment in the game. You know what Harry do? Harry pulled two away off the team because I think it was going to be halftime or something. And he asked, well, what going on with you and Gavin up there? And all this. So I take it up on myself. Realize Gavin looking softy like he want to speak up for himself. I take it up on myself to talk. I say, coach, last up a threatening we. You know what I mean? The man say, boy, Harry watched me with a venom in his eye. And that man take two away off the field and make we run laps for 45 minutes. For the whole second half, we had to run laps. You frightened the last stopper. That's where you come to. And next time we go on and play cricket, we drop catch. If you see catch drop in that game, Harry call off the match, give the next team the points. And put we in the field, you know, boy. It's a field after. This is when we supposed to be playing game, men in whites. And had to go and do long outfield fielding. It's the worst. But coaches like that, I don't see how I could be so. But again, the way it comes down to your parents and things too. You know? Because if your father and them empowering you to do them kind of things, then what were you really for? Where does it stop? So you come back, you're upset. They have a team building exercise. You don't show up. You can't do that on teams. And your father coming there to defend you to say, well, the event was a karaoke event and this. And I think to myself, but why would you diminish that? If anybody ever played team sports before, you train, you do all kind of things, but you see them little karaoke and them singing and them, whatever the team building exercise is. Because when I heard team building exercise, I did not think it had nothing to do with football. It was obviously something like a team building exercise. But again, Gary Griffith, I don't know if he know as much about sports as he claiming to know. But hey, it is what it is. But anyway, the moral of the story is Angus Eve is now the coach, which is good news for all of us. I think Angus is going to do a good job. Angus has been a dominant coach in the colleges league for some time. And I would love to see how much he could translate that into national. Well, first pride, which was one of the first things he talked about in the press conference. But in terms of the overall morale of a team, all we want now is a team that we could back. The administration and them thing is one thing. We almost, I don't think we were ever in a position, not in my lifetime, where we could back our football administration. But at least we get a squad that we could back out there. But I want to play a little clip from Birdie and Barney's show, which was one of the last things Angus Eve said. So I don't know if it's them fellas on them show, if them fellas and them pulling strings in the normalization committee that causing these things to manifest. But let me play a quick clip from it.
But can I make I want to make a plug for myself.
Sure.
I was a young coach coming up, and I was coaching, assistant coach with Vanish. And Vanish had just lost the under-20s, but he was doing both teams, under-20s and 23s. And we had to go to Mexico like in a 3-week period. And Anton Collins came to me. And I thought I had a really good squad at that time. You know, the Sheldon Batos, Mikel Williams, all the guys who are on the senior team now. Kevin Molino, Curtis Gonzalez, Daniel Cyrus. We really had a good team, Trevin Caesar. And we went to the Pan Am Games. And I don't know what the records are before, but we went to the Pan Am Games. We played Uruguay, Ecuador, and we played Mexico. And all of the Mexico players now are playing all over the world in some of the top leagues. And we came out that tournament actually unbeaten. And a lot of the Uruguayan players now are playing for Juventus and all these other teams. And I mean, it was really unfortunate that we didn't go on to the second rounds because Uruguay lost one to Mexico and they drew against us. And that was the 4 points they had. We finished with 3 points. So we came out unbeaten. And I've never gotten a national team since that. That's the plug I'm making.
Yeah. So when you listen to that, it's like, I don't know if them fellas and them had the inside track to the national coach. And this is like just last week, them fellas episode. He was saying that he never get a national team. So salute to him and congrats again. Because now you have your national team. So anybody better than Fenwick as far as I'm concerned. And Fenwick, who had all the answers, and he said, I hope they don't put Fenwick back to commentate or nothing, you know, because as soon as they put him back as an analyst or wherever he is, he gonna start back talking about how terrible Angus doing and who he picking and this and that. I guarantee as the sun will rise, that coming. But Angus, you have back your national team, you make a plug for yourself, and now you're good to go. So we go into this Gold Cup with some kind of pride. Like even the players, like come with bad mind, so that we're not in a position where we're embarrassing ourselves against countries who have, you know what I mean? If they get them 80 Pfizer, they could vaccinate the whole of St. Kitts and Bahamas who beaten we in football. All right, one more thing before we get out there. I want to talk about a gentleman by the name of Kyle Hernandez. Kyle Hernandez, according to his Instagram, is a writer, performer, content producer, and comedian. He's good with words. This is his words, right? He's good with words, but he's working on everything else. I don't know if people was following this story, all right? Keep calm. I don't know if people was following this story, but Kyle had a little comedy bit, right? You know me, I like stand-up comedy a lot. As I say, well, the first profession I wanted was to be a stand-up comedian. So Kyle is living my dream. Let me put it like that, right? But Kyle seemed to have upset a lot of people during the course of this week. So I'm going to play this out. It's a couple minutes long, but wait to listen to this. And give me a genuine opinion as to how funny you find this is, right? Take it in here.
All right. I want to bad talk Tobago for a little bit. What's the deal with Tobago? Like, when we gonna stop, like, pretending they're important? I know you're thinking, oh gosh, but listen, I come in here and I say good night Trinidad, and nobody bat the eye. Nobody says, what about our sister Isle? Nobody say that. If you think about our country's name too,
right.
Trinidad and Tobago. If you just think about it, because Tobago, not important. And I know you're probably thinking, hey Kyle, that's real harsh when you're saying that for. But if somebody come up to you and say, you have a Tobago face, wouldn't you be offended? Yeah. They hate us, Tobagonians. I don't know why. I walk up into Chiz's Chicken in Tobago and I say, hello, may I have some napkins? You're from Trinidad. I don't know Tobago. So I learned to read at a young age, so it's hard to get the accent. Everybody relax. Comedy. So I think they feel like we better than them.
Right.
I mean, the beach is nice. We have one secondary school. Like, bro, everybody in Tobago is passing their first choice. But we, like, I know another, matter of fact, think about their national bird, a cockrico. How low your self-esteem have to be to walk up that Down syndrome pigeon and be like, that's it, that's the one, write it down. What? You saw what I make me said better. I think it worked. I guess everybody's saying, Kyle, yo, this real harsh. Oh my God, what you doing? But listen, I will apologize to Mr. Style, to every Tobagonian watching this right now. All earlier gathered around the village TV. I am joking. I love Tobago. No, for real. I love Tobago. I met my fiance in Tobago.
Right.
True story. I met her in Tobago. Don't worry, she's not Tobago. She's attractive.
Listen, Kyle's so funny. I don't know why. I don't know. Again, the man says he's a writer, content creator. Yeah, but he's good with words, right? But he working on everything else. But needless to say, my guy upset everybody in Tobago, it looked like, and they take after him on Twitter. Now, to be honest with you, right? Let me break it down. Firstly, I don't feel it was a finished, like a polished material, because I'm not sure. I really don't know what to say, because I haven't seen a lot of stuff from him before. His face looked familiar, but I haven't seen a lot of his work before, anything like that. But it looking like it's something he was still working on, because what I learned from watching comedians, right, is the greatest comedians do a lot of work on the road, where they go and they do what they call working out a bit, right? So they say it over and over. They see our audience responding. They'd say something, it sounds like people offended. They say it differently to see how people will laugh. And they really perfect their art and work on the set. So what make me feel like he ain't finished with it is because he was saying maybe I should have learned the song of the Cockrico, it might be funnier. So it's something like something you're working on. And I guess you're always working on a bit. You're always working on a set to try to get this thing right. But boy, to be honest with you, Kyle, you ain't doing such a good job getting this right. And the thing about comedians for me, right? I like edgy comedy. I like dark comedy. I like to laugh about things that you're not supposed to laugh about. It's the funniest that I laugh. Like, you ever remember a long time when you used to go to church and thing, and somebody make you laugh in church? Like, I remember going to, when he was in Fatima, we used to go to St. Teresa's Church. St. Teresa's Church is right, if you know where Fatima is, St. Teresa's Church is just east of Fatima, walking along the same road. I can't remember the name of that road. You're walking along that road and you'll reach St. Teresa's eventually, right? Right by the school the church was. And when Fatima had to go to them churches, the pew that could have hold 10 people had 20 boys in it. You pack up tight inside there, right? And I remember a man named Damien Gurley in front of me in the church, boy. And that man realized that the pew might be bellying a little bit in the center because of all the weight of everybody. So you know what he started to do? That man started to bounce up and down on the pew. And had everybody in the pew like a wave bouncing now here now. And them days teachers dread it. So you can't laugh. And what church is one of the sweetest laughs you could get. The best laugh you could get is when you're not supposed to laugh at that. And that's what the great comedians do. So like Dave Chappelle have this stand-up thing, Sticks and Stones. That's the newest special he have on Netflix. And when you listen to the things he making jokes about, the jokes was about, he opened with suicide, talking about Anthony Bourdain. Then he went on to child molestation, dealing with R. Kelly and Michael Jackson. From that, he gone straight into LBGT issues and run through every single letter. This is Pride Month, and he gone through every single letter. And you know what I mean? So the most contentious issues you have would be the ones where nobody don't want to talk about and everybody is off. You can't say this and you can't say that, and your cancel culture and all that taken into consideration. But the best comedians will take those topics and find ways to make you laugh. Even when it's uncomfortable to laugh at, they could make you laugh at it. And it's the same thing I was saying last week about how Merchant and Lord Nelson was able to take a taboo topic, or what would have been considered in 74 a dark topic, and make it something that all of us could discuss and laugh at and at least start opening the conversation. That's what artists do. But Kyle, you didn't do a good job at this. I find it have a lot of material in Trinidad versus Tobago, because he right. They have this underlying thing that Tobagonians don't like Trinidadians, and we face it all the time. With Tobagonians don't like we, and we don't like Tobagonians and all this kind of thing. That is a real thing. So, and this is not the first person I see getting trouble. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this, because come in to think about it, this is not the first person I see getting trouble for this guy. I remember Hoppy talking about it on radio. about Tobago woman and something like that. And they had their time with him as well. So it's not unique. But Kyle just butchered this whole thing. I was telling a partner of mine, Maurice Burke. If you know Maurice used to do doing sliced bread on Facebook week to week. I ain't seen it in a little bit. Times I bring back the sliced bread, Maurice. But Maurice is a funny guy. Maurice, and you can see he's put thought into the way he's structuring, the way he coming across his jokes and how he gonna say things. And I was telling Maurice, I said, Maurice, you gotta do a better job with this topic, because I see Maurice trying to defend him too, to say, hey, if you don't find it funny is subjective. But don't tell me that this is somehow off limits or something you can't talk about. I support that 100%. I find this is something you had to talk about. Whatever the hardest issues, we had to look ourselves in the mirror more often as a society. And comedians can help us to admit some of these things. Like, we had great comedians in our time. But we didn't have much comedians who used to take on the most serious topics in the society and go after them. So if you look at Tommy Joseph, I feel would be one of the greats. John Agitation was a great, you know what I mean? We had a lot of people who were up there with the best comedians out there, but Sprangalang was one who was definitely taking on current issues in any form, and he's somebody you have to listen to. And that's the difference between my boy Kyle. Sprangalang was well-read, well-educated. He have a strong command over the English language and a strong command over our own vernacular and dialect and them kind of thing. So if he had taken on a topic like this, it would not be as controversial an issue. I'm pretty sure now. This is what I was telling Maurice. I said, Maurice, if you had worked through this, because Maurice's humor is dry and glib, and it might just be the right type of person to do this so that you're uncomfortable. You don't know if to laugh or not. You know the kind of people who you don't know if they're joking or not. He might be the best person to deal with a topic like this. And Sprangalang would have done it justice, because this is a real issue. This is something that's happened, and is a real good opportunity for us to just sit down and laugh at ourselves a little bit. But boy, if somebody could have butchered a topic, and he has some good jokes in there, because when he say Tobago near one school, everybody's passed for their first shot, that was funny. That was funny. You could build around that, but I don't understand why you're attacking Tobago woman as being not good looking and them kind of thing. I'm trying to figure like it's a whole plague sweeping the country with Sion first and now Kyle coming to this thing, and not saying that you can't say in comedy this group better looking than this group or who, but dude, you're doing it in a real unfunny, dry way that it's not connecting with nobody. You're just sounding like you're insulting people. So, like and then the Sprangalangs and them of the world, because of the amount of experience they have, could handle topics like that. Like when you're talking about Tobago woman and them thing, even if you go ahead and you say, you know what I mean, I meet my wife in Tobago, but she was attractive, so she wasn't from there. Where are you coming back from? Like how you're not playing both sides of the coin, or you're not giving them no credit for nothing. You're just wasting down a group of people. And you're doing it online. You're not even doing it in an audience. You know what I mean? If you do it in front of audience with Tobagonians where they could get a chance to laugh at themselves, that's a different thing. But when you record and you put out, you're in trouble. And I don't know where this notion that Tobago women are good looking, I don't know where people is getting things from, because that's Tobago on my time. Tobago dumpling. These youths don't know what they're saying. That one man wasting down single mothers, the next man comes to waste down Tobago dumpling. Let me tell you something about me and Tobago. At time, I work in TSTD time, and we and a little squad from work decide we're going to Tobago for the weekend. But I don't have a little Tobago dumpling line up there already, you know what I mean? I don't have something in the kitty. Because I had done Digicel Rising Stars, and one of the places we did Rising Stars was in what we know now as the Shade in Tobago. That was the venue for the Rising Stars, and they had some girls doing a little promotion, and I was doing a little promotion, and everybody promoting her voice. So I say, what? I inside, but I had no reason to go back to Tobago, so it's just you remember them days was no sort of text on WhatsApp and Blackberry. Yeah, you had to talk on phone and things, so how much time you go dial 639? Me ain't going through that all the time. So, but when I hear we going to Tobago for the weekend, I say, well, all right, let me line up myself. But boy, this girl, she like Moreno Osha. She dark, the real Moko. If this woman looking solid built, This is no electric engine I talking about, you know. It's not no Tesla, I talking about no self-driving car, you know. I talking about solid, the real McCoy. You have to drive, you have to be able to drive gears if you want to drive there, if you know what I mean. So I organize with the girl, I tell her, listen, I'm coming over, we staying wherever, I think Mount Irving or whatsoever it is. I say, oh, come on, you spend a little time. And I say, well, inside, if this boy, comedian fella, see this woman, he change the whole bit, you know. Boy, you know what happened to me? On the boat. Well, before we even reach the boat, I started to get like a little toothache, boy. So I take, my normal thing is to cataflam it out. I take about 3-4 cataflam before I go on that boat because me nothing mashing up this lime and my little, you know what I mean? I have a little Tobago love lineup. And I go on the boat, boy. Listen, this is evening time on a Friday. By the time Saturday morning, I spend that whole boat ride in pain. By the time Saturday morning, I in so much pain and my face starting to swell so much, I can't even open my mouth to eat. Boy, listen, from that toothache I get from that boat, my mouth can't open. I can't get a piece of bacon. You know, it's a big way looking for a nice thick roast bacon. So, but I can't even open my mouth. I'm down to liquids. This is by Saturday morning. This is morning 1. So, as the day progressed, I don't want to mash up the lime, man. At no point I studying to go home. I only studying this lime, boy. I want to be in the mix. So we go on Pigeon Point. This time it's only juice I could drink. Evening come. Well, Sunday morning, the whole side of my face swell up like a whole next face. My mouth can't even open to talk now. My teeth together like this. When Kanye do rapping through the wire, that was me. My teeth closed. It's not like I can't open it because it's paining. I can't open it because it cannot open mechanically. It's not opening no more. And I don't know my Tobago thing line up already. You know what I mean? She come in there. So I tell her, I say, girl, listen, that thing, something ain't right. You know what I mean? My face phone up. I know it just happened. Or that toothache. I driver's abscess. So, you know what I mean? This time, the side of my face heavy. By this time, on the Sunday, my chest starting to swell. Like the swelling passed down all my throat. And so, like I have a lump in the middle of my chest. Like if somebody hits you and it swell up. And with all that, I had to hold my face when I turn and first it heavy with swelling. But you know, I is not this comedian fella. I still had to make my little Tobago loving. So I go through some kind of thing in this life. I had to hold the swelling on my face so that I don't damage myself. But that ain't keeping me back. That's so long I line up this little piece of Tobago love. I go Lego that now. So anyway, when I do come back now, I leave the Monday morning. By the time I'm on the boat coming back, and it's really a girl who we went with who tell me, listen, Corey, I had to go back. You had to see a doctor or something. This ain't looking right because now all my nose broad, my chest fully swollen. Now I go on by my doctor, boy. You know, when you're young, you're stupid. I go on by my doctor, Dr. White, salute my guy. And I sit down in that doctor office looking like if I look in a whole mess. My face swollen on one side, heavy. So under my chin, normally by, you know, the little soft area on the chin, that drop low like a billy goat. Full. And boy, I go on by the doctor. The doctor say, hey, what's going on? He asks 1 or 2 questions. But this is the first time I ever see Dr. White so serious and thing. He always making joke and laughing and thing. He said, Corey, how you come here? I said, well, I went to Tobago and I take the boat. And he's like, you drive to come here? Look at your condition. That man gave me an injection of cataflam and an injection of antibiotic. It is the most painful thing I ever feel in my life. And that man sit down and tell me, here what's going on. It had no reason for you to be so violently ill. You had to take a HIV test. Well, boy, here now, I can't even see in that room after that, tears in my eye. I never forget that. No. And I had to go and do a blood test, something to do this HIV test. So I go on by a dentist. And the dentist telling me, listen, it might be that, but it can't, you know, it might be abscess or whatever causing that swelling, but your mouth can't open. So your doctor do the right thing. You have to wait for the swelling to go down so we could check to see where it is. He sent me by a next specialist now to draw blood. He said, boy, if you draw blood there and any inflammation or anything like that come out of there, you have to do surgery immediately. Boy, you know, frightened. And then I had to go now by a blood work place, what is called them place, to do blood work. And when I go on there to do the blood work, boy, my My whole face swollen. I tell you, I had to hold that. My chest swelling up now. You could see it under my jersey. But now I'm in pain from the injection. My bottom was so... Listen, that thing was so much of pain. I limping and going in, and I walk in that place and say, I take an HIV test. Listen, them people in that clinic, up to today, them must see me and must say, look how good he looking now. He have it soaking. He looking good still. So, you know, all that to say, when that woman, that man tell me that, I say, boy, you know, when you're young, you should be. I tell myself, I say, oh God, I should not go. That's a big one. I said, that's a big woman, give me it. I say, I was good all the time. I go and give. This time, when my face was swollen up long before me, the woman, but I had the woman in mind. Anyway, having said all that, my guy, go back to the drawing board, keep doing your comedy and think, don't let nobody stop you from doing what you're doing. That's part of the thing. You go make a bad joke sometime. But work on your funny, man, and work on your delivery and come again. You know what I mean? To me, comedy could be good, but you don't have to be insulting people and make people feel bad about themselves. And because you look at how much trigger points you hit there. You tell the people they ain't good looking. They pick a retarded bird to be the thing. They're not smart. And the accent, you literate, so you can't mock at a big one. I mean, it just come across as unfunny and an attack on the people. But having said all that, I had to leave all you with a little song. And if you ain't know what this song gonna be by now, you ain't listening to this podcast long enough. Yep. Yes.
This old man from Ohio.
Yes.
Spending holiday in Scarborough. Time up, he want to go. Why, brother, I really don't know. Immigration told the old man, you're now a prohibited immigrant. Listen, sire, the time expire. We would like to know where you really want. He said, all them Tobago girl. Tick, tick, tick like a new sponge ball. Them from Mason Hall. Easy at all, pretty as a doll.
But I love them sweet Tobago gal.
I have been east, west, north, and south. I have seen women all about, but they cannot compare with these you have done here.
Yes?
When they walk in, background shaking, pretty teeth and eyes that just seem to glow. What they eating, what they drinking, how them looking, so I would like to know.
Hear the old man.
All them Tobago girls, sweet, sweet, sweet like a
Kiss a ball.
Boros
You could call or ring Interpol. I ain't care at all. First I love them sweet Tobago gal. Yeah, I mean, everybody know who's that, right? Mighty Sparrow Tobago gal. Yeah, so I don't know where this fella come from with this Tobago thing, but that is about it for me, you know. I want to end the episode the same way I start, to be honest. I'm a song, it's Tobago gal, dedicated to my guy. Go back to your comedy and come again. But I want to kind of leave this episode right where I start, because this is easily, as I always say, one of the greatest songs ever written. And I just want to leave this with you. If this can improve your mood, Osha, and find it and play it, Andre Tanko, one of the greatest ever. So I want to leave all on this note. I will see you guys next week. Enjoy. All right, I'll do it without my singing now, right?
There's a beautiful woman, always dressed in black. She just went for water around a winding track. She's a spirit of beauty, sea. Sweet Morena Ocean. Always when I make me moving down the street. Morena Ocean. Morena Ocean. Sweet Morena Ocean. Morena Ocean.
Hey, it's the voice of the man, Andre Sanko, boy. It's a great one. So I'll leave it here with that, and I will talk to you guys next week. Have a safe week. Wash your hands, wear a mask, watch your distance, all the nice things, right? And get a vaccine, and let me meet one another next week and do this again. See ya.